How you doing, friends? JB here. We're talking about the wisdom of Solomon, the Proverbs. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David. We're in chapter 6. 6 today. We're rolling it forward, and we're talking about some practical things. Some things that seem obvious, but you know what? What's common is not always common sense. And what Solomon begins to talk about is essentially the first or the eighth address to a son went into the notion of idleness. But what's interesting is that it takes idleness and sort of flip-flops it upside down. Okay, there's one thing to be idle. It's one thing to have yourself become so comfortable with doing nothing that all of a sudden poverty comes and jumps up on you, right? Well, this particular proverb here really kind of takes the back end approach, because what happens when you run into someone who's lazy or idle is one of the things they start to do is they start to play a con game on you. They start to ask you for surety for you to co-sign for loans, right? They try to ask you for things that you really can't afford yourself to do, and will in fact put you either in ruin or in great risk to actually support their ways. Okay, well, what are we talking about? We're talking about, if my son, if you put up security for a neighbor, if you have given your pledge for a stranger, neighbor or stranger, you're giving your pledge that you really have no business. They talk about, in other translations, surety. If you are snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, then save yourself. You're going to need to do what you can do, for you have come into the hand of your neighbor, or stranger in that case. What happens is you can basically set yourself up for failure. That's why I don't co-sign for loans. I've got kids, and they are being steeped into the world that believes you should be in debt and in debt to them, and they want to expedite their objects. Don't do it. I don't do it. I don't co-sign those loans like that. That's just not wise to do. My take on it is this: put your hard work in, and you can stay here, and we'll get you set up while you do your hard work. But if that's not good enough for you, then you need to take that somewhere else. A lot of people are doing that, co-signing for loans. You see people co-signing all the time. And they may even get the car and pay it back. But the principle of getting these loans, and you really have to be careful on why you're doing it. And there's different reasons to get a loan. Okay, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it ever. Okay, and particularly in business, you begin to partner with investors, and that may be a bank, that may be other partners, and thereby the loan puts you into a position of partnership. And I understand that sometimes in life that needs to be. I have a home mortgage, and sometimes I regret it, but the fact of the matter is that you have to take responsibility for yours. But if you start to take responsibility for everyone else's too, you're going to put yourself in grave danger. So we get into that, and then we talk about the laziness of people and how a little sleep, this is one of my favorite lines: a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber. Oh man, isn't that a frightening thought? A little sleep, a little slumber, and you can get caught up in the idea of kind of sleeping in, and the joys that one can have. And I am not saying we shouldn't get sleep, don't get me wrong, but you got to be careful about how you're doing that. And this verse alone should sort of wake you up from a love of sleep. And I get it. It's very cozy to be up in the bed while it's cold outside. You don't want to get out. don't want to do it. But poverty will come like a robber. When that comes, guess what? You have cold nights ahead when you're sleeping outdoors and you're on the streets. Let me tell you. Then again, on the ninth address, this is the ninth address overall to a son. And what happens? My son, keep your father's commandment. What is the commandment? Thou shalt not commit adultery, huh? Bind them in your heart always. Tie them around your neck. This is another plea for you not to get into the dealings with an adulteress, a prostitute, a person who would take you away and fornicate unlawfully, really, and against God's will, which is unlawfully. When we talk about it, God's will is His will, and that's the law, basically. And the Mosaic laws, much of them are still applicable today. Adultery being, not committing adultery being one of them. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. Isn't that the way? I mean, we could see that day and night when we look at all the videos, the different TV commercials. You go to your average Super Bowl commercials, or just anything now, anything that is a football commercial. They've got all these women who are basically, jacking those shorts up high, bringing that shirt collar down low, and just highlighting those eyes. They're just batting them around. Boom. They're trying to do what? They're trying to seduce you. And that sort of commercial business is something I'm very set against. Worse than the TV, because you could be watching a football program with the perception it's just football, okay? And then all of a sudden you get all these sexually oriented commercials just all of a sudden popping right into your whole family's face, and you're looking around like, what do we do? I mean, the whole world's watching football. Shouldn't we watch it too? And the only way to do it is to accept these commercials. You don't have to do it. You don't have to watch. That NFL business or others, it's getting old. It's getting spoiled. It's not fresh anymore. And they're going to be circling the drain before you know it. I guarantee it. And I get you. Hey, look, you're a big football fan. I'm a big football fan too. And you know what? I'm a big football fan, but it's not like it. It's moving into a direction that no one has any business being with some of the things that they're doing. Okay, some of the partners that they have. Well, the practical warnings, and again against adultery, the practical warnings, remember, has to deal with, look, the surety of a sluggard is basically stupid. Okay, it's foolish. Now, to be a sluggard yourself is even worse, foolish. Okay, and you will reap what you sow when it comes to that. That's the practical warnings. Adulterous, warnings against adultery. Again, we had spoke about that. Ruin your life, and it's a violation of God's covenant, creation covenants that He set forth for everybody. Whether you want to believe it or not, they're baked in. Man, woman, okay? And what we should be doing with it. We know that. And it's all there. Now let's read it. Let's read it out. We've got English Standard Version. Practical warnings. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger, if you are snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, then do this, my son, and save yourself, for you have come into the hand of your neighbor. Go, hasten, and plead urgently with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, and your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, O sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come upon you like a robber. and want like an unarmed man. Sorry, and want like an armed man. A worthless person, a wicked man, goes about with crooked speech, winks his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his fingers. With perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Therefore calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment he will be broken beyond healing. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. Warnings against adultery. My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light. And the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the prince of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread. But a married woman hunts down a precious life. Can a man carry fire next to his chest, and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals, and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. But if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold. He will give all the goods of his house. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse, though you multiply gifts. My friends, much information in here. You need to get back in here, take a look, go through it one more time, and think about some of these particular directions that we all need to take to be wise and to be prosperous in life. Take good care, my friends.